Hi, everybody. Happy Friday, September 18th. Just past the September 15th tax filing deadline. I've been talking to a few people that feel like busy season started in February and still hasn't ended. But Amy is just back from Sedona. So Amy, welcome. Maybe you were working, I think. A little bit of work and play, yeah. So maybe we start there, taking time to step away and think, since you've just done that. So, and maybe some of our folks can't step away till after October 15th. Others this might be a window that they could, and maybe not till later, but maybe you can talk a little bit about the benefits of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, with the grind we've been in over the last 6 months of survival, and we've talked a little bit about it on other weeks of the show about now's the time for stepping back and doing some strategy and business planning that maybe you haven't had time for. And you definitely want to try to hit some time before the end of the year. But I know for me, that means getting away from the day-to-day. A lot of times if we do this in our office, and, for many, virtual is the only option. But for those that are willing to socially distance and do it safely, I think it's really important to change your environment in order to think. And also incorporate activities that let your mind release, because when that happens, all of a sudden your mind goes to places that you couldn't force it to, that it just needs to be relaxed in order to get there. And I think, what's so important is, as leaders, a lot of times we think we have to solve everything ourselves. But when we do it with others and we create the space and openness to hear everybody's ideas and experiences, you create something so much better than if you tried to do it on your own. So really thinking through, maybe in the next, few months, as the weather's going to be turning and, things are, going to be in a grind again after January, it's important to start thinking about how do we plan. And I think a lot of times during this time, people have said, well, we can't plan. We don't know what the future looks like. But we do know information now. We're a little bit closer to understanding how we're going to work together, what this looks like. Maybe we can't plan for the way it used to be, but we can plan for what we do know. And it's important to take that time to do that, rather than just keep doing what you've been doing just to get by, so that people feel hope and promise and excitement again to build and to grow.
Yes. And, I agree 100%. And I think this idea of collaboration with others is really crucial.
We can plan for what we do know. And it's important to take.
I'm getting an echo. I don't know if you are.
And just keep.
Yeah, I got a little bit of an echo there. So anyway, I think it's important to collaborate with others. I love your point about that. And I think sometimes we hold our problems, and they're not just business problems. For some people, they're feeling burnt out, or they're not feeling motivated, or they're anxious, or whatever their feelings are. And they think they have to solve that alone. They kind of carry it around, and they don't brainstorm with others and say, maybe my business isn't, lighting me up anymore. I've had a few entrepreneurs tell me that recently. I'm having a hard time. I just feel like I'm on a treadmill or something. And yes, it's making money, and yes, I'm serving clients, but gosh, I've lost my way on why I do it. So sometimes it's not even like business planning that we need to go away from our day-to-day and think about. It's like life planning.
Yeah.
And what is my mission? What is my ministry? What am I supposed to be doing here? And then also, what do I want next? What's my next? And we've talked before, you said we might not be able to plan for the way it was. Gosh, I hope not. I don't want anybody to plan for something from the past. I mean it. I can't stand the idea of going backward to anything. What's next? What's my personal next? What's my next for my family? What's next for my health? What's next for my business? And just getting back in touch with that and talking to other entrepreneurs, talking to other business coaches, or people in if you go to church or synagogue or whatever your communities are, talking to those folks. Sometimes I process my problems running, and I have a few women I run with, and they process theirs with me too, and that can be helpful, because then they just sort of say things sometimes that are so profound that I would never have thought of myself. So I love that idea of sharing your burden and sharing your ideas and being open to the feedback of others.
Well, and I think to your point that you have to create time for that emotional sharing and human experience sharing of what everybody's gone through during this time from a personal standpoint as well. That really creates connection, because a lot of people are going through similar things or have had struggles that maybe you don't even realize that have been going on during this time, and how they've gotten through it is inspiring. And then others can share ways that's helped them as well. So I think it's important, this time away from your day-to-day, that there is a delineation, because when we sit at our desk to do these things, what happens is we start looking at email, and then we shift our focus away from the things that we're doing. And it takes a long time for us to get back to the same mindset if we're going to go back and forth between just stopping and pausing and just letting your body regenerate.
Yeah. And, sometimes it's easy for you or I or any good coach to say, you've got to make time to do this stuff. One of the things that, I spend a great deal of my year doing, coaching about and talking about and working with others and practicing myself, is making time by delegating, making time by kind of clearing space. Delegation is a strategy for clearing space. There's also a strategy called no, or no more, or no, not now. But delegation, there are a lot of us who are successful business owners who are type A, high control, get in the ditch and dig, I'll make this a success off the sweat of my brow. I have experience. I know how to do it. I'm efficient. I will, gut through it. And they're gutting through. We all are, but we're not developing people very much by delegating. And we're also not holding our peers and partners, those that are same level or above us, accountable for their part. Sometimes we just take on everything and then wonder why we're burnt out, wonder why we're overwhelmed, wonder why we've lost our mojo or our way. And so I just want to remind all of us that there is a very important discipline called delegation. And it's as important as exercise, in my opinion, to say who owns what and what could I convey ownership of that is on my plate to someone else in my life. And delegation is not just at work. Sometimes we hear the word and we think of it as a management principle at work. But there are a lot of over-owner, overdoer, control freak, hoarder moms and dads and spouses, siblings. I'm certainly that as a sibling. I tend to be kind of a controller and a hoarder of the work. And it robs people of the opportunity to contribute themselves. It robs them of the opportunity to learn. And so while we think we might be helping everybody by holding on to it and doing it ourselves, we're really hurting people by doing that.
Well, and what I hear a lot when I talk to people about time management and making sure you put those guardrails and boundaries, it's always about someone else. Well, I don't think they could handle it, or I'm not sure if that will work. And I can't take that time off because so-and-so wouldn't allow it. And a lot of it comes down to communication, speaking up, and making sure that you're letting other people know when you're taking time off, and then getting okay right here about it, that you were going to step away, and that, you know what, if the emails pile up, someone's going to take care of it. Most likely you can leave a communication message that you're out. But if you keep checking your email and communication, you'll never actually get the time off that you need for the space that you need in order to create new ideas and innovate and so forth. So I really see it in two ways: is we don't take our own responsibility for setting boundaries, and we're not okay with allowing people to step up. And we have to be okay with that we don't have to do everything. And most things are, when we do communicate and speak up and say, I am off, then you're off. Now, what happens is, if you block out that time and you tell people I am out for a meeting or out for time off or whatever it is, and then you start responding on email, you have now communicated to them that your boundaries are broken, and you don't keep your boundaries. So then they're like, oh, okay, they'll respond. So then they'll keep communicating with you. So you've got to take your own responsibility rather than looking to others to make that happen. And even if it's, you kind of wean yourself in, if it's hard for you to do that, but it's important that you don't look to the outside for accountability, that you're accountable right here.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with us. And then there could be people that try to break the boundaries, or clients that try to, text us. We're hearing a lot from middle level managers that because people are working from home, their clients are texting them at all hours of the day and night and expecting a response, and I said, well, who is responsible for those clients thinking that? The clients tried it and you responded, so
right.
How about next time the client texts, say, I'm sorry, I'm attending to some personal business right now. I will get back to you on this message at 9 a.m. tomorrow or 8 a.m. tomorrow, or whatever your boundary is when you start. But if you start responding like that, then they're going to quit texting you at night. And so I think sometimes we have this like victim mentality, they call that the accommodator personality in conflict management, where I accommodate everybody and I just sort of want everyone to be happy, and I put up with it, with whatever they want, and then I complain about it and I act like a martyr, and so there's no power in that. It's powerless, and it's also hard to get on your side if I hang out with you very long and I watch that you let every boundary be crossed by other people and then complain about it. For me, I don't want to hang out in the complaints, because I know there's some stuff to try. There's some things you could try. And we all could do a better job of managing our boundaries.
And we can use technology for this as well. So if you're not good at doing it, setting your out of office each day when you're truly out of office of when you'll be back. And if you're one of those people that feels you need to get it done because it's going to bother you,
yes,
then schedule the email to respond back the next day. So that even if you write the email, it's not being sent right away, so that you are starting to send the message to people that you are off. And then little by little, it will start coming to fruition. But the technology is there to help you with this.
Yes. The other thing is I believe that most people want to accommodate one another, that we want to, support one another in success. It's very rare that people are just completely callous and completely selfish and completely, undesirous of helping you. So when you ask, do you have the capacity to own this project? Could I transfer this client to you? I am overwhelmed. I think most people, if they have that capacity or have that room, will say yes. It's the silence and assuming, oh, she looks pretty busy over there, I'm not going to ask her. You've got to ask. If they say no, they say no. But I find it that almost every time I ask, I get a yes. And I don't think I get a yes because I'm asking from a position of power, because it's not always that I'm the leader. And I give people the room to say no. I say, do you have the capacity? How do you feel about taking this client from me? And my people almost always, can make room, or they can say yes if we can move this to next week, or if we could, if I could move this project to Sarah on our team or whatever, and we find a way to make it all work. And without asking and assuming, I think, again, another moment where we rob ourselves of the chance to delegate or empower someone else, and we rob them of the opportunity of being of service. That's one of the things that I learned a long time ago, that by me being sort of super self-sufficient and completely capable, and I'm a workhorse and I can do so much myself. By doing that, what I do is I rob people around me of the not just the ability to learn, not just the ability to take ownership, but the ability to be of service. And it's uncool, like I can't be the only one that's of service. Yeah. That's not fair. So anyway, if that rings true for anybody else, that was a big, powerful distinction for me. And by asking others, I find that most people want to be of service, and they say, yes, please, by all means, send it over. And if they can't, they say no. And then I ask someone else.
Well, and if you're ever going to do other work besides the work that you're doing, if you don't start delegating, there's no room for you to do sales, professional development that you need to do, all the things that take us to the next level. So many times we hold on to things because of fear that if somebody else does it, maybe they'll do it better, or maybe I'll lose my job. And instead of looking at, I should always be finding my next best replacement.
Yes.
Where's my bench strength? Because there's nowhere for me to grow or go or even take my business if I'm trying to hold on to everything. And again, that starts from here of trying to understand, like, why am I holding on to it? What is that fear? What's creating that fear for me internally, so that I can work through that and start figuring out how to communicate, how to trust, and so forth. And then start seeing, once I do that, I create space for myself, which can be scary because you're like, what do I do with this time?
Yes.
I'm used to working all the time. Well, it doesn't mean you're not working. It means you're learning new ways to develop your business and take it to the next level. And it's doing it in a way that you might have not done it before. One of the discussions that came up this week when we were doing some planning, so I'm a part of a group called Elevate Alliance, where we help women entrepreneurs. It's volunteer work, basically, so that we can help develop them and they feel supported and stay successful. But one of the things that started happening in the discussion, in which when we do this alone and no one can push at you, this happens a lot, where every idea came up, it was like, well, but then we have to do this or this and this. And we had to pause and say, let's not talk about the how right now. We're just ideation, right? And then we'll figure out how this will work and so forth. And too many times when we're used to the day-to-day, we get in the way of ideas happening and growth and things that we could learn that would take the organization to the next level, because we're like, oh, that's work. Well, if that's work, then who's going to do what we've been doing so we can take it to the next level? And what are we going to stop doing? Going back to your no, right? So if this is the important thing that we need to do, what resources do we already have at our disposal that we don't need to redo all the time? What things are not actually creating any growth value in the business? It's just keep the lights on. And find the simple path there so that you can spend your time on the most important things.
Right. We use a really simple technology called Keep, Stop, Start for a million things. Honestly, we use it for feedback delivery and strategic planning sometimes. But in this particular instance, one of the things that I think everybody should do once a year is a Keep, Stop, Start on their own job. Mm-hmm. And what should I keep that really is making a difference for my business or my clients or my people? and keep doing that. What should I stop doing that is not transformative? I don't get joy from it. It doesn't make a difference. Could I move it somewhere else? If I can't, how can we say no to it as a business? How can we get rid of it? Should we fire some clients? Should we get rid of a specific service line we dabble in? So what should I stop doing? And then what could I start doing if I made room with my stops? I think that's such a powerful thing to do. And every year I call it cleaning the closet of my clients. Every year as I get into the fourth quarter, I start saying, what clients am I not the right person for our company to be serving them anymore? And either I've lost my usefulness to them, they don't hear me like they used to, or maybe they're not transforming, they're not willing to change, or maybe somebody else on my team really has better expertise for where they're headed next. And I always transition some clients in the fourth quarter. It might take me a whole year. It might be a whole year before I get them fully transitioned, but I start identifying that so I can make room. And otherwise, you are on a treadmill. You are doing the same job every day, forever, because you haven't made any room to reach up and grab anything new, or reach out and grab new ideas and get on those. And I know you and I both love innovation and we love ideation, and neither of us could survive on the treadmill. We're like, we'd die like plants that weren't getting water.
It's true.
It is.
I'm too uncomfortable in that space.
No, I can maintain for just a little while.
Yeah.
Not long. So I think we're at time. It's been awesome catching up with you again. I'm glad you got some time away. Very happy for you. Amy and I were talking about autumn, and she's wearing a sweater today. I was like, oh. And I ran this morning and put on a long sleeve shirt to start, and then peeled it off at a half mile. But that's not a good sign, and we were both lamenting autumn, mostly because of the locking us indoors and making it harder to meet with people. The outside meeting with people has been so fabulous, and during this COVID thing, going back inside, lockdown inside, is going to be brutal. But I welcome ideas on that. I think we need to play with some ideas, ideation and innovation on what we're going to do to have fun this cold weather season. Amy, think about that. Maybe we'll do a session where part of it we talk about that. And if you are out there and have ideas for us on subject matter or some of the problems that we lay down at your feet, we would welcome your input. So chat to us or email us outside of the cycle, and we'll see you guys next Friday. Thanks.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Take care.